Mystical Songs, Ralph Vaughan Williams and the Episcopal Music Tradition. My name is Adam Spencer, and I'm the rector of this parish, and it is very good to be able to welcome you here to St. Elisabeth's today. Our presentation this afternoon will be a combination of pieces sung by our choir and our soloist Walter Aldrich, and played by organist John Bicknell, alongside some commentary from myself about the pieces, and a series of hymns that you are heartily encouraged to join in singing while remaining seated. And those churchgoers among us today might feel impulsively called to rise up and sing, tempted to stand and sing hymns, but I encourage you to resist that temptation and remain comfortable and seated. The hymn numbers for the hymns are found in your leaflet that you should have gotten at the door. The hymns themselves are in the blue hymnals in the racks in front of you. If you need a restroom at any point during today's program, you can find one through this door and just before you get to the stairwell on your right. The presentation's format today is indebted to the wonderful Great Sacred Music program offered by the Church of St. Martin in the Fields in London. If you enjoyed today's program here, I heartily encourage you to seek out their programs online on their website. They're very, very good. The composer whose works we explore today shaped the English Christian musical tradition as few others have. As a composer of hymns in English and as editor of the influential English hymnal, his work shaped what we think of today as the Anglican or Episcopal, indeed the English tradition of sacred music. He is the most cited composer in that blue hymnal in the pews in front of you. Ralph Vaughan Williams was born in the English Cotswolds village of Down Ampney in 1872. His father was a vicar in the Church of England who died when Ralph was only an infant. Vaughan Williams went on to become a student of two of the giants of the Anglican musical tradition, Charles Stanford and Hubert Parry. He also became a dear friend of the composer Gustav Holst, who wrote The Planets, which inspired John Williams in writing the Star Wars scores, of which I am particularly fond. In the late 19th and 20th century, Vaughan Williams was one of the first people to traverse the English countryside collecting folk songs and traditional carols from the ordinary people who lived there. An atheist in his younger years, Vaughan Williams became more of an agnostic as he aged. But despite his ongoing, lifelong theological doubts, he was committed to the good and the beautiful in his sacred compositions, and to drawing from the very best of England's musical tradition wherever he may find it. As Andrew Gant wrote, England seems to flow through his musical veins, in the music of her past composers, her folk song, and her hymn tunes, so that the boundary between church music and symphonic music, between old material and new material, becomes blurred and bound together by a shared musical inheritance and by words. And what words they are that he uses. Vaughan Williams possessed a deep love of poetry, from Shakespeare and Blake to Bunyan and Walt Whitman, and he made ready use of these poetic texts in his musical compositions, as we'll see today. One of Vaughan Williams' most frequently performed works, the Five Mystical Songs, which is at the heart of our program this afternoon, stands as an excellent representation of both Vaughan Williams' strength and style as a composer. First performed in 1911, its English flavor seems woven throughout, with folk-hinted melodies and quintessentially English poetry as its text. Vaughan Williams' symphonic approach is apparent in the lush and fluid harmonies, leaps to modal tones, and free rhythms. The texts of these pieces are settings of four poems by 16th and 17th century Welsh poet George Herbert, who was himself an Anglican priest. Despite Vaughan Williams' own doubts about the faith, the music gives itself over wholeheartedly to the religious spirit of Herbert's poetry. The sacred words are plainly and directly expressed through Vaughan Williams' use of melody, harmony, rhythm, texture, and voicing. Easter, the first of the mystical songs, which we will hear now, links the transformative power of the rising of Christ at Easter with the rising of our hearts in song. I wonder for myself if the great atheist agnostic composer may have found some special meaning for himself in the interplay of music and the sacred in Herbert's poetry here, in lines such as, "Awake, my lute, and struggle for thy part with all thy art." Let's enjoy the first of the mystical songs.
Thank you.
hymn Hail Thee Festival Day comes from a poem by Venantius Fortunatus, written to honor the conversion of the Saxons by Felix, Bishop of Nantes, in 567. The poem is made up of a whopping 50 stanzas, which you will be grateful we are not singing all of them today in hymn form. Progressing from a celebration of springtime and nature through to a celebration of the work of salvation. This hymn has been translated, adapted, and excerpted continuously since its publication all around the world. It was first introduced in its current form with the 1906 publication of the English Hymnal, a brand new hymnal that Vaughan Williams helped to create with Anglican priest Percy Dearmer in response to some general dissatisfaction on the part of some people within the Church of England with the previous edition of Hymns Ancient and Modern. Harboring his own serious doubts about matters of faith, Vaughan Williams was at first reluctant to participate in the creation of a new hymnal for the church, but he was convinced when, as he said, "I understood that if I did not do the job, it would be offered to a well-known church musician whose musical ideas I was much out of sympathy with." Vaughan Williams held a firm conviction that sacred music should be possessed of both quality and accessibility, and that neither must be sacrificed for the other, and he sought to demonstrate this in his work in the English hymnal. After finding popularity in its first publication, Vaughan Williams' setting of Hail Thee Festival Day began to appear in various later hymnals in the Anglican tradition as well, eventually appearing in the 1940 edition of our Episcopal hymnal. Its popularity expanded from there within the American church, becoming a regular feature at important feast days throughout the year, and was included again in that blue 1982 hymnal that's there in the pew in front of you. The 1982 version of this hymn has 3 editions of the text, although I'm not sure if it quite adds up to 50 stanzas or not. There's one for Easter, one for Ascension Day, and one for Pentecost. In keeping with the Easter theme of Williams's 5 mystical psalms, we will remain seated and sing together the Easter text.
Amen.
Preceding Vaughan Williams' contributions, contrary to the widely recognized glories of musical composition on the European continent, England had become known abroad as a land without music. It was Vaughan Williams who ended this misconception and returned England to the praise that it richly deserved on the international musical scene. Arguably, he did this through his belief that there was value to be found in the common folk music of England, the music of field and village, pub and farmhouse, fiercely opposing a contemporary adage that all folk songs are either bad or Irish. Vaughan Williams deliberately sought to find and elevate native British folk tunes in his compositions and his hymnody. Perhaps his single greatest contribution to sacred music was his pairing of these folk tunes, both from England and neighboring Wales, Scotland, and yes, Ireland, with religious poetry. In doing so, he introduced many of our favorite hymns and their tunes to our tradition, including Hyfordall, St. Columba, Dundee, and Kingsfold, which was our prelude today. They're all tunes that are used frequently in the Anglican and Episcopal Church down to this day, even here in St. Elisabeth's Church on Sunday mornings. Vaughan Williams' careful curation of these traditional, popular, and singable folk tunes, and his selective deployment of the best of them alongside good poetic texts, continues the theme of his life's work of seeking both accessibility and quality in music for worship. Sacrificing none of the dignity or reverence of older forms of sacred music like Catholic plainsong or traditional Protestant melodies, Vaughan Williams' use of these English folk melodies lends his hymns a warmth and an ease and approachability that those other forms can sometimes be seen to lack. Our next hymn, The Golden Sun, is a more obscure offering from Vaughan Williams, found in the rarely used noonday section of our current Episcopal hymnal. But it is a worthy representation of Vaughan Williams' use of these traditional folk tunes. Set to an old English folk ballad tune, this hymn first appeared in Vaughan Williams' 1906 The English Hymnal, and it received its first Episcopal publication in the hymnal that you hold in your hands. Please remain seated and join us as we sing together The Golden Sun. The text of our next hymn, Come Down, O Love Divine, first appeared in the 1867 People's Hymnal, not the English hymnal. Like Herbert's poem, Love Bade Me Welcome, which we just heard, this text of the hymn also shows divine love coming to visit human souls with illumination and transfiguration. But the hymn gained immense popularity after its inclusion in the English hymnal, with a tune by Vaughan Williams written specifically for the text, named Down Ampney after Vaughan Williams' birthplace. The setting of this tune has become the standard worldwide. Similarly popular as a hymn is the following piece that we'll hear after that from the mystical songs, The Call. The text of George Herbert's poem here uses almost entirely single-syllable words. Come my way, my truth, my life. The poet-priest Herbert's famed verse says. As we've noted already, Vaughan Williams was an atheist or an agnostic for most of his life, who yet championed sacred music for most of his life. His collaborators in the music that we are hearing today include Herbert and Percy Dearmer, who are both priests. Dearmer was the one who recruited Vaughan Williams to work on the English hymnal by letting him know that this other guy who he didn't like would take the job if he didn't get it. Writer of a famous handbook for Anglican clergy, Dearmer was, like Vaughan Williams, committed to the idea of beauty and reverence in liturgy, and to the recovery and use of medieval and folk traditions in worship and sacred music. He was also an ardent, lifelong Christian socialist and a champion of women's rights and economic justice. In his latter years, Dearmer ran a canteen for the unemployed out of Westminster Abbey, where he served as a canon. Our song cycle today is called the 5 Mystical Songs. Mystical songs. Scholar of Christian mysticism Bernie McGinn defines a mystic as someone who has a direct perception of the presence of God. A direct perception of the presence of God. Now, I don't know if you all have had that experience today listening to this music, although I really hope so. But the work of Vaughan Williams musically and the life and work of his collaborators Dearmer and Herbert argue that this sort of mystical perception of the presence of the sacred here and now is possible in the pursuit of the good, the true, and the beautiful, in creating, in singing, in hearing, in serving, in living, in loving, and in being, even amid the kind of doubts and uncertainties that were harbored by Vaughan Williams all through his life. As Herbert's words from our final mystical song today proclaim, the church with psalms must shout, no door can keep them out, but above all, the heart must bear the longest part. The heavens are not too high, his praise may thither fly. The earth is not too low, his praises there may grow. Thank you for joining us today. I hope you enjoy these last few pieces. Please join us now in singing Come Down, O Love Divine.
It is.